Hey guys, Vicious here, and welcome back to another episode. So, let's talk about a very interesting story, shall we? Let's talk about my worst experience I've ever had with a GameStop. Now, I've told this story before in a live stream, and I also told my friends this story, but I thought it'd be fun to share it with you guys. Now, of course, this story happened about 4 years ago, so I'm not even sure if those employees even still work there anymore. So I think I'm okay talking about this. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty here, let me tell you there are two GameStops around me. There is one located at a mall, and there is the newer one that's located at the shopping center. This one revolves around the newer one at the shopping center, but the other one's going to come into play in somewhat a bit later in the story. So, I was going into the new GameStop. I thought I'd give it a shot because I just recently had gotten my PS3, and I was looking to pick up some really sweet RPGs to play. So I pick up 3 games, I take them up to the counter, I'm ready to listen to the story of how the guys end up, push pre-orders on me and try to get me to sign up for their card or whatever it is. I'm okay, I'll just go through the normal process I normally do and just, say I'm not interested right now, I'm kind of in a hurry, blah, 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 just to get by it real quick. So I'm going up there, he gives me the whole spiel about, you want to pre-order this game, you want to pre-order that game. I'm like, no, thank you, sir. I have no interest in them right now. He's like, okay. He's like, that's fine. So he's looking over the games I bought. Now, at the time, I had bought Final Fantasy 13, Disgaea, and I had gotten Tales of Grace's F. These were 3 games that I wanted to play for the console, so I picked those up. Now, as the guy's looking through the games, he starts shaking his head. I'm like, that's a little weird. Why is the guy shaking his head? Like, does he not have it or something? So I'm like, is there something wrong, sir? Is something wrong with the choices I picked out or something? Do you not have the game? He's like, yeah, well, there's something wrong with the games you picked out. I'm like, okay. He's like, you shouldn't be buying these games. I'm like, why? He's like, because they're RPGs and they're awful. I'm like, well, okay, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But I have my own opinion, and I actually like these kind of games. He's like, no, I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to make sure that you buy the right game. I'm like, the right game? I'm like, I am buying the right games. These are the games I want. So, he goes out in the back, where the PS3 games were, and he grabbed the game off the shelf. Now, at the time, I did not see what game he grabbed. I'm like, okay, what is this guy doing? Is he going to show me some really hidden gem on the console that I want to pick up or something? He comes back with a copy of Call of Duty. Now, I can't remember exactly what Call of Duty was at the time because it's almost 3-4 years ago this happened. So I'm like, sir, I have no interest in the Call of Duty games. I played them before and I just don't like them. He's like, no, you're gonna like this one, trust me, it's amazing. I'm like, sir, you don't understand, I have no interest in playing Call of Duty. So I'm trying to be very polite about this. I'm going about being very polite. I'm like, sir, I just want to buy my games and I just want to go. He's like, no, I'm gonna make sure you get the right game because you're not buying these pieces of crap. I'm like, they're not pieces of crap. Do you understand that people worked on these games? A lot of people actually love these games. Some of these games are quite beloved by many. He's like, yeah, well, those people are idiots. I'm like, so you're calling me an idiot because I like these games? It's like, you kind of are. I'm like, okay, I just had an employee tell me I was an idiot. Now, at the time, there was no manager or any other employees at the store. It was kind of late that I decided to go pick up these games. So I just had, the feeling that this guy had a long day and he just kind of didn't want to get out of the store and he was taking some of his frustrations out on me. I'm like, okay, fine, you know what? I've seen this before. I understand you had a rough day. Let me just get my games. You plead your case to somebody else who comes in here and buys RPGs. I just have no interest in it. But this guy would not let me leave the store until he pleaded his entire case. So I'm like, okay, and I was like, I'm going to either, one, buy these games here, or I'm going to leave them here with you and go to another GameStop because this is just getting out of hand. I have no interest in the Call of Duty series. He's like, okay, you know what, fine. You don't have to buy a Call of Duty. I'm like, okay, good. Can I just get my game to go? He's like, no. If you're not going to buy Call of Duty, I want you to pick up this game. So he grabs another game off the shelf. I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. I can't remember what the game was. It's been a while. And he picked up, like, you're going to buy this one instead. I'm like, sir, I just don't want to buy these games right now. I just want the games that are in front of me. And so, for about 20 minutes, I'm sitting here arguing with this guy about, the games I want to buy. And I cannot believe this is actually happening to me. Because every time I've gone to a GameStop, I have seen some of the nicest people you could ever imagine at these GameStops. And some of them are really, really cool. Some of them, not so, but, they're still nice people about it. But this guy, his agenda was to get me to buy Call of Duty. I'm like, I have no interest in it. I don't think wasting my money on a game I'm not going to play. So can I just get my games and go? But no, this guy wanted to argue with me for about another 10 minutes. I'm like, sir, it's been a half an hour since I came in here. I have no more patience for this anymore. I'm going to lose my mind if I don't just get my games and go. Now, I can be a very calm guy. You have to do a lot to really set me off. Like, you have to do a crap ton to set me off. But this guy was coming very close to setting me off. I was like, okay, sir, I need to go now before I start losing my mind and I'm going to start saying things I don't want to say. So I'm like, I'm going to leave the games here with you and I'm going to go. Because you're forcing these games on me that I have no interest in whatsoever. And I'm going to go to another GameStop. I'm going to buy these games with no hassle. And I'm never going to come back in here again. So, as I'm walking out the store, he calls me a loser. At that point, I was ready to turn around and just like knock this guy out. But I sucked up my pride. I'm like, you know what? Not worth it. I walk in the store and I never go back in again. Now, at this time, it was about 8 o'clock, and the other GameStop was still open for about another hour or two, because at the mall, I think they closed at like 9:10. So, I go over to the other GameStop. I go to the one that I know and I love, and I can trust everybody there. So, one of the guys I really like talking to about RPGs and stuff, he was there. So, I was like, oh, hey, how's it going, dude? Like, what you looking for? I'm like, well, I went to the other GameStop earlier, and I went to go pick up 3 RPGs I've been interested in, because I just got a PS3. He's like, oh, cool. So I was like, yeah, I went in there, I thought I was going to get my games, no problem, but I was met with a bit of resistance. He's like, what do you mean by resistance? I'm like, I walk in there, and this guy had me at the counter for about 30 minutes, and of course there were no other customers in the store, because it was kind of late, and I don't think anybody was really going to that GameStop. So he had me at the counter for about a half an hour, arguing to me why I should not buy the games I wanted to buy, and why I should buy Call of Duty. And the guy's like, you're kidding me, right? Like, this guy argued with you for about like a half an hour about this stuff? I was like, yes. I was very polite about it too. I was like, sir, I just had no interest in these games whatsoever. I don't want these games. But he would not let it die. And the employee's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, do you remember his name? I'm like, no, I didn't catch his name because I really wasn't worried about his name. I just wanted to get the hell out of there because I was sick of it. And I usually don't hold grudges against people. I'm very kind and I'm very forgiving. But this one guy had set me off so much that if I ever see this guy again and walking around, I'm probably going to punch him. Now, at this point, as I'm telling my story to the other employee, because I actually know this guy and he's really cool, he's just in shock. He's like, what location was it again? I'm like, it was the one over the shopping center. I gave him what shopping center it was. He's like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna give a call to some of the higher ups and let them know, your experience. You might have to come back in and maybe tell your story. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, you know what? We'll get you your games. We'll give you like a small discount. We'll give you like a discount because you had a really awful experience over that. I was like, okay, yeah, it's fine. And so I get my games and I go home. Now, the story doesn't end there. The story actually picks up about a week later where I get a call from GameStop, because that GameStop, the one I normally go to, have my number. I do put games on reserve sometimes. And it was like, we need you to come in real quick and, tell us your story about the employee that gave you a hard time. So I go in and I tell him that, my experience and how I'm very calm about it, and, how I try to respect the guy and how I not try to start anything. But then I told him what he said at the end when I walked out the door, and how he called me a loser. And the guy's like, don't worry, we're going to take actions against this guy. He's not going to be working here anymore. Thank you for your story. So a horror story at a GameStop turned into a happy ending for me, because that guy no longer has a job there. I don't know what that guy's doing anymore, but as I know of right now, I will never go back to that GameStop ever again, because I had basically the worst experience I've ever had in my life at the GameStop. And I did try to go back in there about 2 years after that incident, and I met another really awful employee. Just did not care and did not want to be there at all. And I'm trying to be polite, and I'm just letting him go about his business, but you could tell he just had a sour look on his face. He wasn't paying attention to anything. He just wanted to get out there. He was talking with other people. I was like, can I shoot my games and go? Like, he's like, okay, fine, I'll give your games and go. And so I get my games and I go, and I'm like, I'm never coming back to this GameStop ever again, because every time I come in here, there's just really awful employees. I could not believe. Like, do they not, like, check these guys out before they hire them? Like, do they not? Because the GameStop that I went to has some of the nicest people ever. But this GameStop that is new has some of the most worst people I've ever seen in my life. So, it goes to show you that not every GameStop you go to is going to be sunshines and daisies. No, some of them are quite awful, and they hire some of the worst awful people I've ever seen in my life. Now, I was trying to get a job there for quite some time because, you know, I enjoy video games and I want to help people find, you know, games that they truly love, and something, you know, I can always show them something different and stuff like that. But, you know, after that experience, I don't think I ever will work for a GameStop, because if I had to work with somebody like that, I probably would have punched him in the face. And I'm not a violent person at all. I probably would have punched him, because I could not believe what I was hearing that day. I could not believe it at all. So yeah, that's pretty much my story. That's my GameStop horror story. It did kind of have a happy ending for me. I got my games. I had a little bit of discount shoved on them because the guy felt bad for me. The employee that gave me the worst time of my life in a store ever no longer has a job at GameStop. I never had a situation where I had to come back in and talk to somebody about my situation at the GameStop and give my full story, because that was crazy. I went home that day. I told my parents about the story. Like, what the hell? They just sat there with like their face like shocked. I'm like, yeah, don't think I'm ever going to that GameStop ever again in my life. So yeah, that's my story. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about the story, and maybe share some of your stories as well, because that was a very shocking moment for me. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you all have a great day, great week. Get out there, enjoy the weather. It's kind of nice out there. It's summertime, so you should be out there enjoying the weather, not inside all day. So yeah, thank you all for listening to my crazy story. Have a great day and take care.